In the picturesque mountains of British Columbia, Canada, where majestic pine trees pierce the sky and winding trails disappear into dense forests, a man named Aidan McKellen served as a forest ranger. Aidan was known for his dedication to his work. He patrolled protected areas, kept order, and cared for the preservation of wildlife. His calm disposition and kindness earned him the respect of his colleagues and the residents of the small town of Kelowna, nestled at the foot of the mountains. One day, during another patrol of the deserted forest roads, Aidan and his partners, Laura and Jacob, heard a faint, barely audible sound coming from the blackberry bushes by the side of the road. The sound resembled a moan full of pain and despair. Approaching closer, they froze in surprise. In an old rusty trap abandoned by poachers lay a young black bear. Its paw was tightly clamped, its fur soaked with blood, and its eyes, full of fear, barely opened from exhaustion. Aidan, without hesitation, took off his jacket and, together with his partners, set to work. Laura brought a first aid kit from the car, and Jacob helped hold the trap while Aidan carefully pried open its jaws. The bear, though weakened, instinctively growled, but Aidan spoke to him softly, as if reassuring an old friend. "It'll be okay, buddy, hang in there." After a long struggle, the trap gave way and the bear's paw was freed. They quickly treated the wound, applied a temporary bandage, and decided that the bear needed to be taken to the veterinary clinic in Kelowna immediately. After loading the bear into the back seat of the SUV, they set off. At the clinic, the veterinarians immediately got to work. They stopped the bleeding, stitched up the wound, and administered antibiotics. The bear, whom Aidan named Barney, was still weak, but his eyes were no longer as cloudy as before. Aidan, unable to leave Barney alone, volunteered to stay at the clinic. He arranged with his boss to take a week off, and devoted all his time to caring for the bear. Every day, Aidan brought Barney a warm blanket, heated milk, and even a little honey, which he licked up with pleasure. At night, he sat nearby, watching the bear's breathing, ready to call the vet at the slightest sign of complications. Colleagues who visited the clinic were surprised. The stern ranger, accustomed to strict patrols and fighting violators, had turned into a caring guardian of a wild animal. Local residents, learning of Aidan's actions, began bringing food and warm clothes to the clinic to support him. A week later, Barney began to stand on his paws. His wound had healed, his fur was shiny again, and his eyes had a lively gleam. Aidan removed the last bandages and looked at the bear for a long time. He stroked his head, feeling Barney trustingly press against his hand. "Time to go home, buddy," Aidan said, and together with Laura and Jacob, he took the bear to the edge of the forest near his home on the outskirts of Kelowna. Barney, as if understanding that he had been saved, looked back at Aidan before disappearing among the trees. But the story of their friendship didn't end there. A couple of weeks later, returning home after his shift, Aidan noticed a familiar figure in his backyard. Barney cautiously stepped out from behind the trees and stopped, looking up at Aidan's window. The ranger smiled, opened the door, and simply nodded to the bear, as if inviting him to feel at home. From then on, Barney began to appear from time to time. He didn't come close, but always looked at the house as if saying hello. Aidan didn't chase him away, feeling that a rare, almost mystical connection had formed between them. Life went on as usual, and Aidan seemed invulnerable, full of energy and kindness. But fate had other plans. One winter morning, several months after their last meeting, Aidan suddenly died of a massive heart attack. His passing was a real tragedy for Kelowna. Colleagues mourned the loss of a friend, and residents remembered his good deeds, from rescuing lost tourists to protecting forests from poachers. Aidan's funeral was held in an open clearing by Lake Okanagan, surrounded by the forests he loved so much. The coffin, covered with the Canadian flag, stood under the pine trees, and dozens of people gathered around: family, friends, colleagues, and even local schoolchildren, whom Aidan had taught about nature. The ceremony was simple but sincere. The priest read a prayer, and Laura gave a speech, in which she called Aidan a man with a heart of gold. In the midst of the ceremony, a commotion broke out in the crowd. People began whispering, some stepped back, and someone shouted, "Bear!" To everyone's surprise, Barney slowly emerged from the forest. His black fur glistened in the sun, and his movements were cautious, almost solemn. Laura, wiping away her tears, raised her hand to calm the crowd. "Don't be afraid. This is Aidan's friend. He's come to say goodbye." In complete silence, Barney approached the coffin. People held their breath. The bear, as if sensing the importance of the moment, stood on his hind legs and gently touched the edge of the flag covering the coffin. He pulled the fabric slightly, as if wanting to see his savior. Barney stared at the coffin for a long time, then let out a quiet, drawn-out moan full of grief. The sound echoed across the clearing, causing the hearts of those present to sink. Even the priest bowed his head, and Aiden's relatives could not hold back their tears. The moment did not last long. Barney slowly lowered himself onto all fours, turned, and walked away. He did not look back, disappearing behind the trees, as if taking the memory of his friend with him. From that day on, he was never seen again at Aiden's house or in the surrounding woods. Perhaps he went far into the mountains, keeping in his heart gratitude to the man who gave him a second chance. The funeral continued, but now the tears of the mourners were mixed with a sense of reverence. Barney's appearance was living proof of Aiden's kindness, his ability to connect not only with people, but also with wildlife. The story of Aiden McKellen and Barney the bear quickly spread throughout Kelowna and beyond, becoming a legend of compassion and friendship. Aiden left behind a void that is difficult to fill, but his actions continue to live on in people's hearts. His story reminds us that kindness, even to a wild animal, can create a bond that transcends time and the boundaries between worlds. And wherever Barney is, deep in the Canadian forests, he may still remember the man who saved him and became his most unexpected friend. Friends, thank you for taking the time to read this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us and learn more heartwarming stories like this one.